Hey there, it's me Eden. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and visit my Patreon page for early access, link in the description.
Ellen was totally confused now. What exactly was going on here? Upstairs, Vicky had seemed excited to get to know him better, but downstairs, she now sounded like a second version of his mother. Over tea, Vicky explained to Gert the offer she had made to take Ellen out to lunch and pick up a few essentials after church. She added they might even see a movie if all went well. Gert nodded approvingly. It'll be good for her. A girl as pretty as Ellen should be seen out and about. As they finished up and began clearing the table, Gert reminded them that they had to hurry, as she'd promised to stop by the McMurrays around 1 p.m. That young Stephen will be in for a surprise when he sees Ellen in the daylight, Gert chuckled. He had quite an eye for her last night. I bet he will, Vicky replied. Ellen, would you walk me to the door? Vicky took his hand and walked with him to the front door. As Ellen opened it for her, she leaned in and gave him a warm kiss on the lips. Until tomorrow, sweet one, she said. Ellen watched her walk down the sidewalk, moving with the same grace that had once earned her teasing comments. Since the street was empty, she must have done it just for him. She stopped as soon as she turned the corner. I'm so confused, Ellen thought. The only girl at school who's ever been kind to me prefers me like this. And everyone keeps saying I look so good. I can't believe how I look myself. Maybe if Vicky really does like me, this whole thing could turn into something wonderful. He smiled at the thought of her goodbye kiss. Come down off your cloud and fix your lipstick, lass, or we'll be late, his mom said, snapping him back to reality. She handed him a small white purse with pastel applique on the front. It wasn't flashy, but it would work well with most of the clothes now hanging in his closet. Transfer the contents of your wallet to the purse, your keys, a lipstick, and that powder Mrs. Stewart gave you for daytime use, Gert said. And do hurry. He did as he was told. When he opened the purse, he discovered a mirror hidden behind the flap. He touched up his lipstick. It had nearly vanished from Vicky's goodbye kiss and was ready in just minutes. Gert had changed too, now wearing a nicely fitted green dress. She must have put on a corset as well, and he marveled at how quickly she had managed hair, makeup, and dressing. Looking at her, he could understand why his father might have been drawn to her years ago. As they walked the 2.5 blocks to the McMurrays' house, he noticed how differently she carried herself in public, graceful, polished. He realized she'd always done so. He'd just never noticed. They greeted neighbors along the way, and Ellen was surprised to hear compliments from the men on the porches. Who's the pretty lassie? She'll be with me for a while, Gert would say warmly, keeping an eye on the time. This time, the wives didn't glare at him like they used to. Some of the younger men even looked at him in ways they never had before. He arrived with Gert at exactly 1 o'clock. She gave him a final once-over, smoothed his dress a little, and smiled broadly, something he hadn't seen her do in years. Mrs. McMurray opened the door with her cheerful brogue still intact, even after 2 decades away from Belfast. Do come in, ladies. Tea or coffee, Mrs. Jordan? Coffee for me, and juice for Ellen if that's all right, Gert replied. Just cream for you, if I remember right. And I've got grape juice all ready for Ellen, isn't that your name, dear? Mrs. McMurray said, as she bustled toward the kitchen. A few minutes later, she returned with drinks and a tray of shortbread cookies. Soon after, her 2 sons appeared at the kitchen door. You look well, Mrs. Jordan. And your daughter. Goodness, what a lovely young lady, she said. I imagine Mrs. Stewart had a hand in this transformation. She's the only one I know who can work that kind of magic. Yes, Patty. Anna helped her blossom beautifully, Gert replied. Michael, Stephen, this is Ellen, the girl you noticed last night at dinner, she said playfully. Mike's the polite one, and Stephen, well, he's still learning. Stephen, eyes wide, simply stared at Ellen as she sat bathed in sunlight by the living room window. Mike at least managed a proper hello. See? No manners, Patty muttered, watching Stephen fumble. She used to be Ellen from down the street, she added quietly. Still feeling curious? Stephen looked shocked. Wait, really? That's Ellen. Mike leaned over and whispered, "Looks like you had a crush on someone you thought you knew." Stephen looked stunned and unsure what to say. "Boys," their mother interrupted, "we all grow. We all change. Let's show some grace." Turning to Ellen, Patty said warmly, "You're a sweet young lady, dear. I'm sorry for any rudeness earlier, especially from Stephen. But I promise things will be better next time. Won't they, Michael?" Mike smiled and nodded. And as Ellen glanced back at Stephen, she caught the look of someone who wasn't just shocked, but completely unsure what to feel. "I've just the frock to start her off in," Gert said with a smile. It was Ellen's first dress, a fancy pink party dress with 3 layers of petticoats. "It's a little snug through the chest on her now, but it might fit your youngest just right." "That would be lovely," Mrs. McMurtry replied warmly. "If you'll be home this afternoon, I'll send Michael over to pick it up. I'll also mention it to his father when he gets home. I still have a pair of soft pink bloomers from my own youth that would go perfectly with that dress." From there, the conversation turned to neighborhood gossip, filling the room with laughter and familiarity. After a while, Gert checked her watch. My, look at the time," she said. "Ellen needs to prepare and practice for her outing tomorrow. And I imagine Patty will be arriving soon, so I know you've got things to take care of. Call me after church. We must do this more often," she added. "We definitely must," Patty agreed, hugging Gert and giving her a warm kiss on the cheek. Michael offered Ellen a friendly goodbye, and it was confirmed he'd be by before dinner to pick up the dress. The walk home was mostly uneventful, except for a whistle from a pair of boys passing by, which made Ellen blush. He also drew attention when he bent at the waist to retrieve a fallen tomato, revealing the tops of his stockings, a moment that earned a passing comment and another flush of embarrassment. Along the way, they stopped at a few small shops for fresh bread, stew meat, and vegetables. Ellen couldn't help but notice how much more pleasant the shopkeepers were now. Where Ellen might have been met with scowls or disinterest, Ellen received smiles and kind words. He was also learning to walk more gracefully, the heels forced smaller, measured steps that helped him keep pace with his mother rather than racing ahead impatiently. Carrying the grocery bags differently was another adjustment. Holding them to his chest helped keep his purse from slipping off his shoulder. The soft breeze brushing against his legs and the light swish of his dress created sensations he was still getting used to. Once home, he set the bags on the counter and started to head out of the kitchen. A good daughter would help her mother with the groceries, Gert said with a playful but pointed look. Better do what she says, Ellen thought. His cousins and aunt would be arriving soon, and ignoring his mom's suggestion might lead to trouble. He returned to the kitchen, began unpacking the groceries, and tried to figure out where everything went. The vegetables need rinsing before you put them away, and they go in the crisper, not the open shelf, honey, Gert said gently as she watched. Leave the stew meat out. I'll show you how to brown it and season it properly, she added. Ellen tied on the apron his mother handed him and watched her work with the meat. Once it was browned and added to the stew pot with the cubed potatoes, they stepped out of the kitchen and into the living room. What else do you have planned for me today? Ellen asked. Not much, Gert replied. You did well this afternoon, aside from a little slip at the vegetable market. I think you learned from that. Stacy and Tracy will help with your posture and grace. And if you're wearing the yellow dress to church tomorrow, they'll show you how to carry yourself in 4-inch heels. Mom, can I ask you something? Without getting into trouble. As long as it's not meant to be cheeky or hurtful, go ahead, she replied. It's about Vicky, sort of. All right. What about her? Why would a girl be interested in a boy wearing a dress when she didn't want to date him before? Gert thought for a moment. Some girls are drawn to kindness, gentleness, a softness they don't always see in boys. Sometimes how someone presents helps others see parts of them they'd overlooked. What do you mean? Take today at the market, she said. I'm pretty sure many of those clerks knew it was you with me. But they were pleasant. They smiled. You were more polite and composed than Alan ever was, and your appearance made the entire experience easier. I only acted like that so no one would notice I was wearing a dress. Oh! Then what about the little moment at the bread shop? Gert raised an eyebrow. You struck a pose and fussed with your hair right when that young man looked your way. Pose? I just walk like this in these shoes. And I was fixing my hair so it wouldn't get caught in the earrings. Could be, Gert said with a knowing smile. But we'll talk more later. I just saw your cousins' heads bobbing past the window. There'll be a knock at the door in a second. Sure enough, a moment later, Stacy and Tracy burst in, full of excitement, with Aunt Lily trailing behind them trying to keep things calm. We want to hear everything about Ellen's day, Stacy said excitedly. How was Victoria's visit? And what happened at the McMurrays? That place was buzzing when we passed by. Now, girls, Lily interjected, where are your manners? Neither of you even said hello. Gert chuckled. Ellen can fill you in while you help her practice walking in the higher heels she'll be wearing tomorrow. A date already? Tracy teased. First day presenting as a girl and you're going out? Who's the lucky one? She'll explain while we get the stew going, Gert said, heading toward the kitchen with Lily. Stacy made a playful gesture and said, it takes me weeks to get a date, and then they only notice if I've done my hair right. Stacy, Lily said sharply. We're just chatting, Mom. It's girl talk, Stacy replied, brushing it off. It's not really a date, Ellen clarified quickly. And it's not with a boy, EW. Vicky and I are just going shopping after church. Oh, Stacy said, raising an eyebrow. I've heard she's a bit adventurous. Likes boys and girls. You two could make a fun pair. Watch your words, Lily said firmly. Victoria has always been sweet and well-behaved when I've seen her. A smart, lovely girl, top of her class at the academy. She'll go far. With that, Gert and Lily disappeared into the kitchen to prepare dinner, while Stacy and Tracy headed upstairs to collect shoes for Ellen's practice session. Bring down the pink party dress and the underthings too, girls, Gert called up. Lily gave her a curious look, but Gert only motioned toward the kitchen. I think we'll be seeing a new girl at Mass tomorrow, she said quietly. Stephanie? Lily asked knowingly. I was wondering how long it would take. Gert recounted the afternoon's events, and Lily nodded along, absorbing every detail. She made a mental note to check on a spot at the St. Catherine's Summer Finishing Program. The prestigious academy for young ladies was known for producing polished, confident women. Even in complex family situations, the headmistress always found space for a special case. Yes, Stephanie, Gert confirmed. Michael should be by soon to pick up the dress. I'm excited to see it worn tomorrow. I'll make sure Stacy is assigned to monitor her section, Lily said. She's had her issues with Stephen before, might be good for both of them. Enjoying this turn of events a bit too much, are we? Gert teased. Who wouldn't, dear? Lily smiled. Helping shape the future of the two wildest kids on the block? That's a legacy. Meanwhile, in the living room, Ellen was doing her best to walk gracefully in heels. Stacy and Tracy were guiding her posture, teaching her how to sit properly and move with confidence. They also worked on softening her voice and helped her become more aware of body language cues. Ellen was focused. He didn't want to repeat today's awkward moments at the market, not in a mall packed with teens. By the time they were called to dinner, he was steadier, more graceful, and much more aware of how subtle movements could send signals to those around him. Just then, a knock came at the door. I'll get it, Stacy shouted, already halfway there. Hi, Michael. What brings you over? She asked brightly. My mom sent me to pick something up, he said. Wouldn't be a pink party dress and matching petticoats, would it? She grinned. Got a big night planned? Michael flushed deep red and stumbled over his words. After an awkward pause, he finally said, I guess I might be getting a new sister, or at least that's what Mom said when she and Dad took Stephen to the mall. While Tracy carefully fluffed and adjusted the pink dress on its hanger, she exaggerated every motion, making sure Michael noticed. Want to try it on yourself? Make sure it'll fit your sibling, she asked playfully. Michael went even redder. It's for Stephen, he repeated. I guess, he's wearing it to church tomorrow. Sure, both girls said in unison, trying and failing to suppress their giggles. Michael looked helplessly toward Ellen, his eyes begging for mercy, but Ellen, feeling a rare surge of confidence, couldn't resist the moment. I'm sure it'll fit either of you just fine, Ellen said, smiling sweetly. You'd both look great in it, so no need to fight over it. Michael flushed crimson, snatched up the dress and undergarments quickly, mumbled a soft thanks, and bolted for the door. That was positively catty, Stacy grinned. You're learning fast. Everything all right in there? Gert called from the dining room. Yes, ma'am, all three girls chorused. Michael was just a little overwhelmed by how pretty the dress is. Stacy added with a wink at Ellen, her expression saying, "You owe me one." They all settled at the table for dinner, the conversation turning to none other than Stephanie McMurtry, formerly Stephen. Ellen listened more closely this time, noticing just how passionately Stacy and Tracy spoke about the pranks boys had played on them over the years. Stacy recounted how Stephen once sprayed her and a few other girls with the garden hose on their walk home from school while they were still in uniform. She still remembered walking 4 blocks with her wet clothes clinging uncomfortably to her. Let's just say, Stacy said, when he's in a bra, I might return the favor with a snap. And I call dibs on loosening his skirt zipper mid-step, Tracy added. Ellen sat quietly, absorbing every word. He was starting to understand just how vulnerable some of those pranks made the girls feel, and how different life looked from the other side. Even things like tripping in heels or getting makeup ruined suddenly didn't seem so funny.
Please subscribe my channel for the next part. And visit my Patreon page for early access.